Hey guys, with summer just around the corner, I thought it would be fun to show you how I make one of my kids' favorite frozen treats. These fruit popsicles are easy to make, they're healthy, and they're super fun to eat.
Cheers!
So my favorite fruits to use for this recipe are watermelon, pineapple, and then I've also got some kiwi, and I love how they have a little bit of acidity because it's a nice contrast to our chocolate. So the first thing we need to do is get our fruit ready, and I've got a mini seedless watermelon that I'm gonna use today. I'm gonna take the ends off. Probably the hardest part of the whole task is getting your fruit ready. Everything else is super easy. I like to slice off the ends so that I can lay it flat. And then I'll go ahead and cut it right down the middle because basically what I'm doing is creating some wedges that we can stick on our popsicle sticks. And then put it flat. This is a great safety tip. And then I'm gonna go and slice about 1 inch thick. If you have little kids, you can slice them a little bit thinner, but this works great. And then in quarters. Now that we've got our wedges, we need to put our popsicle sticks in there, and the rind is pretty thick, so I'm gonna use my knife to help me out. And then I've got thick popsicle sticks. You can use thin or whatever you have. These are easier for my kids to hold. I'll go back in and do these for the rest. So I've set my watermelon aside. Next up, we're gonna do the pineapple, and I'm gonna do this one 2 ways. The first wedges, just like the watermelons, and the second rings because these look super impressive. So I'll take my top right off and my bottom, and then I can go back in and just go down the sides to get some of this off. Any of these spiky guys, that's what you want to get rid of. Oh, this pineapple smells so good. All right, now that the hard work is done, we're gonna cut our rings, and I'm gonna make them about 1/4 inch thick. And then I'm gonna cut some wedges. Now to do that, I'm also gonna cut a little thicker for a ring and cut them into quarters. And you can see it has a little core, but that's okay because that's super easy to eat when it's small. The final step is for our rings, we need to take out the core because it's a bigger chunk. I have this tool, I actually have no idea what it is, but I think it's like some sort of pastry tool. You guys will let me know what it is. I'm just gonna go through the center. You can also just go around with a knife and that will work just fine, and pop out the center. I like this because it makes it perfect. Now we just need to put our popsicle sticks in, and I'm gonna use the thin guys because they're pretty tender. And then for the wedges, I'm gonna go in through the big side. All right, now we just have to do our kiwi, and I've got a nice ripe kiwi. I'm gonna slice the end off. And these guys are easy because they're so small. I'm just gonna cut them in half. If you can find really tiny kiwis, you can almost make like a cake pop, which would be super cute. And then I'm just gonna slice them in half, take one of my thin popsicle sticks, and that one was pretty easy. Next up, we need to melt a little bit of chocolate to dip our fruit pops into, and I've got milk and dark chocolate bars that I've broken into pieces. I'm going to add to those a little bit of coconut oil. Gives them a nice glisten and also melts easier. I'm gonna put these in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time, stirring in between until they're totally melted. And this usually takes 1.5 to 2 minutes. All right, our chocolate is melted, and now for the fun part, we get to dip our fruit popsicles, and I like to do these a number of different ways. Sometimes I'll just drizzle a little bit on the fruit, and sometimes I cover them entirely. So let's start with the watermelon and maybe some milk chocolate. I like to leave a little bit of the red just to contrast with the green. And I'll let the excess drip off so it's not too indulgent. All right, then I've got a baking sheet that I've lined with parchment paper. This one I'll do in some dark chocolate. Now, if you're asking my kids, they need them all the way dipped, but you know, gotta be reasonable here. And then the other thing I like to do on some of them is go back and hit them with a little bit of sea salt because it's a nice contrast in flavors. All right, I'm gonna do some pineapple rings, and these are my absolute favorite. My kids too, because they're nice and big. And then I'll do one of my wedges, and for this wedge, I'm gonna dip it entirely so it's all covered. I like to make my kids guess what's underneath. You'll notice that some of your fruit is super juicy. If that happens, you wanna go back and just dab it with a paper towel. It'll make it easier for the chocolate to stick and not slide off of your fruit. Oh, the dark chocolate looks so good on the pineapple. All right, let's do a kiwi next. These are easy because you just dunk them right in there. And I actually really love this flavor contrast. All right, for a change of pace, I'm gonna do a few where I drizzle different kinds of chocolate on top. I love the way this looks, and it also is a little bit less indulgent. You'll need to stick your fruit pops in the freezer for a good 4 to 6 hours. I like to do mine overnight, and then when I take them out, I let them sit at room temperature for about 5 to 10 minutes, just so they're easy for the kids to bite into.
Cheers!
It's bigger than your head, buddy.
Summer treats are my favorite. And me too.
All right, guys, I hope you give this recipe a try. I love giving my kids things that are healthy and easy to make, but also super delicious. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. This is the quietest you guys have been in like weeks. All it takes is a little fruit covered in chocolate.